knocked away, picked up by Andre from three-quarters court, and he hit it! He had his eyes on the prize and let it fly!
What's going on, all you Tannimals? This is another edition of the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live exclusively on Twitch TV, a proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Network. I am your host, Bryan Tann. With me, as always, my co-host to the stars, super fan of the Vancouver/Memphis Grizzlies, the guy that had the VI Pizzle treatment as they decimated the Los Angeles basketball Lakers, Jackson Law.
Oh man, that game was so much fun. Let me tell you. So, Josh, if you don't know, and by the way, Bryan, this is probably the only time I'll ever get to do this, because apparently we weren't supposed to do this. But better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. Yeah, exactly. But I had some connections that were able to get me and a couple of buddies. We got some box seats for the Grizzlies and Lakers at the FedEx Forum. Nice. So I got the nice VIP treatment, and I got to watch LeBron cry to a team that was missing Ja Morant, and I almost started panicking, because I was like, maybe Memphis has a shot. We don't have Ja, but we've got everyone else, and then an hour before the game starts, we're on our way to Memphis. We're over halfway there. The bridge is in sight, and I get the notification on my phone that Dylan Brooks entered the health and safety protocol. I was like, oh no.
Oh, that's what they're calling it now? It's not COVID protocol. It's health and safety protocol.
It's health and safety protocol. Exactly.
Okay. And you know what? Well, before we get too deep in, we also have to welcome our third Tannimal with us monthly, on the dot, all the time, every time, the consummate professional, a guy that I have much love for, even when we're kind of going back and forth with each other on Twitter, the Josh Taylor. JT, how the hell are you?
You forgot a resident Lakers fan who's
resident Lakers fan
at the current moment. Oh my gosh,
yeah. That's right. I forgot that you were a Laker kid.
I've been a Laker fan since we first knew each other.
I know. Well,
we were hanging.
Yeah,
out
I know that now. I think part of the reason why is because I was so gung-ho Jordan back then. And
everybody was gung-ho Jordan back then.
Yeah,
everybody was.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, so you like a team other than the Bulls. So who's your second team after the Bulls? So
right. That's how everybody was back then. I was one of the few people that was like, yeah, I'm a Laker fan. They're like, why?
Yeah.
But at the time, because during the time we were in high school, specifically my freshman year, the best high school player in the state of Pennsylvania played at Lower Merion High School.
Yep.
And if you remember this correctly, Bryan, my freshman year, 1996, Shinley made I want to say it's the state semifinals. If I remember correctly, they lost to Erie Cathedral Prep High School. I think they lost by like a bucket. Erie Cathedral Prep played Lower Merion in the state championship game. And there was a kid on that team that took over in the second half and beat Erie Cathedral Prep, and his name was Kobe Bean Bryant.
Yep.
Later on, he got drafted by Charlotte and got traded to the Lakers on draft night. I became a Lakers fan after that. I'm like, the best high school player in PA is playing for the Lakers. I'm now a Lakers fan. So it's been that way ever since.
And we were pretty stoked about that at Shinley, too, because we were real salty. Because that was the best Shinley Spartans varsity team in over a decade.
It was the best in probably the best in 15 years. Probably since that 91 team that lost to Blackhawk with Dante Calabria. Right. And I want to say that was the state semifinals too. I want to say that game was at Robert Morris, if I'm not mistaken. But my brother was a junior that year when Shinley lost in 91. So I guess that was 5 years. It wasn't 10 years. But
But either way, it was still that team was slated to win the state.
They were ranked high. They were ranked really high.
They were a very high ranked team, and I was Mr. Anti basketball teams because we had some cocky dudes on that team that really got on my nerves.
If you played basketball for Schindler, you kind of like
you were always
nature,
cocky,
pretty much.
Right?
I mean,
so
we had the notoriety of being a basketball school, so.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Jackson. We're sort of showing you.
You guys are fine. You guys are fine.
Inside baseball right now.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, and it's in our notes about a potential Russell Westbrook trade, and we may get to it at some point.
Oh gosh.
We're gonna get there.
Josh, I'm telling you, man. I watched this man with 15 seconds on the shot clock 4 times throw up a mid-range jumper that didn't hit the rim. It hit the opposite side on the backboard and then fell into a Grizzly player's hand.
We talked about how I was the resident embarrassed Lakers fan, right? We talked about that. Okay, just making sure we're clear. That helps lend to the consummate embarrassment at the moment. I'm
sorry. You know what? I'm the
listen,
resident.
I feel for the cool Lakers fans. There's cool Lakers fans out there, and I know quite a few actually. Went to high school with one. He liked the Lakers because of Kobe. Grew up watching Kobe. You obviously like the Lakers because of Kobe. You know, you're not these bandwagon LeBron fans.
Before that,
exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of East Coasters didn't like Pittsburghers because when the Celtics were big, Pittsburgh was East Coast LA. We were all about the Showtime Lakers.
There's a lot of Showtime Lakers fans back here back in the day. My barber was a big Showtime Lakers fan. And these days now, I'll go to the barbershop and somebody will bring up the Lakers and we're both like, nope. We're both like, nope.
Matter of fact, Chuck Neely.
We don't engage.
Chuck Neely, who was on the bench for those teams, he was my my first 2 years at Central Catholic, he was my guidance counselor.
Wow.
Yeah, and he used to live in my old neighborhood of Stanton Heights.
Wow.
And he told me he played for the Lakers. I was like, oh, that was so cool. But, I wasn't a big – yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too many parallels. Too many.
If there's one NBA fan base that I feel the most bad for, it's not the Lakers. And because I've got family that are fans of this franchise, and I've made a lot of connections with fans of this franchise on Twitter, but – I feel sorry for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who got hung 73, beat by 73, hung 150 on them
because they should be the Seattle Sonics.
I was gonna say it. I was like, you feel bad for Oklahoma City fans, and Seattle fans are like, dude, get in line.
That's our team.
Yeah, no, I'm just. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm just saying because I got family.
I can feel it. I can feel that.
You guys are cool. I like you guys, but
I understand. Yeah. I worked out in Arkansas.
Sorry.
I worked out in Arkansas the year the Thunder with KD and Westbrook and Harden made it to the NBA Finals against Miami. I was working out that way. Our DMA in Northwest Arkansas stretched into Northeast Oklahoma. So I covered the Thunder a lot. Like I showed a lot of Thunder highlights when I was working. And the year they went to the finals, it was a big deal. There was so much happening at the same time. Arkansas was in the College World Series and the Thunder were in the NBA Finals at the same time. So that was a huge, crazy time of year. So from that perspective, I do understand. I get it.
And okay, so real quickly, you mentioned Arkansas. We'll get to the show here in just a second because this is like the one chance I get to ask you about this. But Penn State, Arkansas, Outback Bowl. Give me a few thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, man?
Penn State fans, I want the smoke. Let's go. I want all the smoke. My Hogs are the bowl game. They were 8-4. Sam Pittman should be SEC Coach of the Year.
Should.
I want all the smoke. I want all of it. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
I'm hyped for
That's all I wanted to hear.
I love it.
This is one of the most exciting times of year for a sports fan because the NBA, they finally knocked off the rust of, the first month of the season. Same with the NHL. We're going into the college football bowl season and college basketball is starting to pick up. And then a little rinky-dink league called the NFL is doing its thing too. So this is an exciting time to be a sports fan. It really is. But at the top of our list right about now, we're going NBA. I'm pretty sure we're going to get into some NFL with me and Josh. on the same panel, we know we're going to talk a little bit of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we
little bit
because a little bit
because Josh and I were having a bit of a back and forth on Twitter. Did you see that, J-Law?
It was a discussion over a theory that I think is massively flawed.
I did not see it. No, because if it was they played the Thursday game, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was at the Grizz game that night, so I was.
Okay.
I was
you were better off. Trust me,
you were way better off. Like there's if I walked away from the Lions game. And I almost walked away from this one. I was ready to walk away from this.
I did catch a little bit out of the corner of my eye because there was a TV in my box that had the game going on. So I would check
listen to him.
Every so
my box. Listen to this guy. My box.
He gets VIP treatment one time, and then
I get it.
Yeah, seriously. Then next thing you know, he turned all bougie.
Man, going to NBA games is absolutely ruined for me now. Okay, I can't sit up in the nosebleeds anymore. I can't the only thing next is like courtside. The only thing that's comparable now is courtside.
You mean like me? That was at ringside for AEW Dynamite.
The only acceptable consolation prize for not getting in a box is courtside. Other than that, it's terrible.
See, I can kind of relate to both of you guys because Bryan, I did not see most of that. Actually, I didn't see any of the Lions game live with the Steelers. I was doing play-by-play for a Duquesne women's basketball game that day. That was happening during that game, so I missed. I heard the overtime period on the radio driving home. I did not see that game live. I also did not see the second Cincinnati game live where they got pummeled by the Bengals.
So
I didn't see that one either because I was calling the Duquesne men's basketball game. I was doing play-by-play for that one, and I didn't see any of that one live.
Were you and Adam Gusky doing that together?
No, I was doing that with Ellis Cannon.
Oh, that is right.
I was doing that with Planet E, like the Beaver County Sports Hall of Famer and Ellis Cannon.
Love Ellis.
So when I got in the car after that, when people were just like, because I had a bunch of friends that knew I wasn't going to watch it because I had to work, and I told them, I was like, dude, don't text me during the game. I'm working. I'm calling play-by-play. Like, I don't know when it happens. And by the time I got in the car, the only thing they said was, you actually worked at the right time. You did. I'm like, okay.
Fair enough.
Interesting watching the highlights after the fact, and it was indeed interesting.
It was brutal. But yeah, being ringside for the CM Punk match was amazing. Nyla Rose went full scale, dude. She went straight up heel kayfabe on me, and it was the most beautiful thing I experienced it. I told this story last week, but I'll tell you, Josh, because we didn't get to connect. So we first go backstage, right? And the first person I see on my right is Anthony Ogogo. Wow. And he gives me a look, and I know better. I know you don't bother the talent when they're backstage.
Yep.
It's like, bet. Hopefully I have a chance to talk to him because I've seen him in DDP yoga workouts. Cool. And then here comes Nyla Rose, and I'm like, and she stops and sees me, and I just go, I love you. And she goes, I love me too. And just dipped. And I'm like, yes.
Love it.
And then she comes up behind me, throws an arm around me, leans in real close, and goes, and think, you tell anyone about this, and no one will believe you. I'm like, I got that 5-minute conversation with the great Tully Blanchard.
Nice.
I almost started a fight I was ready to start a fight during the Rampage taping because some dude kept trash talking Tully Blanchard. I was saying, don't talk about my friend Tully Blanchard.
Dude, to that point, I got to interview Art Anderson. There was an indie show here a few months ago, and they set up. I want to say it was IWC Wrestling had a show going on. They set up an interview with me and Tully Blanchard. I mean, not Tully Blanchard, me and Art Anderson on my radio show.
Nice.
And it was like the best 10 minutes, 15 minutes ever. Like, I'm looking at my producer through the glass, and we're both like geeking out. It was crazy. You can't say a bad word about Art Anderson in my presence.
Oh, I can imagine.
Me and Art are besties. I might send him a Christmas gift. Like,
same.
my dude now.
Dude,
Art's my guy.
Me and Tully's my dude. Matter of fact, and then Brian Pillman Jr. Dude, he is
the Horseman. That's awesome.
Yeah, we both did. That's awesome, dude.
So
I'll tell. And this is the last thing I'll say on it, real quick. Don't ever sleep on Brian Pillman Jr.
Oh, God.
That kid is way more built than TV gives him credit for. And then he looks at me and goes, "You're looking pretty swole, brother." And I'm like, "Yeah, BB Jr. thinks I'm swole." Dang it.
You couldn't fit my head through the door after that. I'm done.
I know. I'm just like, yeah. I'm going up to people. I can give you directions.
Right.
Brian Pillman Jr. thinks this is on point.
It's over.
All right. Let's talk some NBA. Let's get more into some NBA. So here's some trade rumors going around right about now.
Oh,
I'm going to pull this on my other screen so I'm not turning away.
Sorry, I was making sure Kevin Durant is in my lineup because apparently he was supposed to be day-to-day, was not going to be activated for tonight. But so that way the Nets don't forfeit because they have so many players in health and safety protocol. They have reactivated Kevin Durant and have exactly 8 players going into their game tonight.
Damn.
And
good God,
somebody's going to be playing 40+ minutes tonight.
Like I know this podcast with Josh normally goes like pretty long. So while live, we could be on watch for Steph Curry breaking Ray Allen's career 3-point record.
Oh yeah, definitely. Courtney, please keep your eyes on that. This is key right here. All right, so let's go into it right now. Some of these trade rumors are revolving around Ben Simmons, Jeremy Grant, and others. So Adam Wojnarowski. Me, I can't say anyone's name, but I can say Woj's name.
Woj.
Woj. So there's trade discussions revolving with Ben Simmons, and these are the teams that are listed. And I just want to get yay or nay from you guys on these. No explanation as of yet. I just want yay or nay. New York Knicks. Yay, nay.
Well, who are we talking about for again?
Ben Simmons. There's talk about that trade. All right.
Ooh.
The Lakers.
Wait, let's start with the Knicks here for Ben.
All
Simmons.
right.
Yeah.
I don't hate the thought of it, but will Knicks fans like it?
New York fans don't like anything.
I'll say no because Knicks fans will hate it. So I'll say nay.
That and the question is like, what can you give
What
up?
are they?
For,
what are you going to give up
for
to
Ben
get
Simmons?
Right.
Yeah,
Because
they
Daryl Morey
take
is
Kemba.
demanding a king's ransom for a guy that hasn't played a single game. And the last time we saw him, he passed up an open layup where Trae Young was 5 feet from him.
Mm-hmm.
And passed it off to Tyrese Maxey. And it's like, bro, you're like what, 6'9", 6'10"? You're an absolute unit of a man. You're supposed to be going up and demolishing the rim on that play.
2K21, my character on that is a point guard. And every time we would play the Sixers, Ben Simmons was the bane of my existence because he was swatting shots left and right. I'm like, how the hell is a point guard? I don't care if he is 6'9". This guy is like 6 blocks. This is bull.
Like I'm not ready to give up on Ben Simmons. I've been extremely critical of him. I said he has not improved ever since he came into the league. He's the exact same player. What, 4 years? How many years he's been in the league since he was a rookie, which was technically his second year in the league. That's a whole nother debate about whether or not he should have won Rookie of the Year that year or not. Because that was technically his second contract year, but his first year to play. I mean, I think it would be fun for the Knicks to have him, but again, it all depends on what you would be giving up. And you're probably, at least Daryl Morey is going to want like RJ Barrett. He's going to want Derrick Rose. He's going to want maybe not Julius Randle, but I'm just kind of throwing stuff. Maybe Emmanuel quickly.
He might want an Obi Toppin.
It'd probably be like Obi, Emmanuel, maybe not RJ. You could probably get away with not giving up RJ, but it would definitely. They probably
if you give up RJ Barrett, that I mean, look, I'm no super duper deep aficionado of the New York Knicks organization, but RJ Barrett is like key to what you're building for. You give him up, like what do you like? No, you don't give that up.
I'd say so.
All right,
I'll also say this: you send Obi to the Sixers, I'll make that trip cross state to go see Obi. That's all I'm saying. I saw Obi. I called a Duquesne Dayton game. I saw Obi up close. He was no joke. Like, I'll go see Obi Toppin play.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
The Lakers are also being listed.
I mean, you just get a younger version of Russell Westbrook.
Exactly. That's an automatic nay from me.
And here's the thing, though. Russell Westbrook will shoot threes. He'll shoot 20% from three, but, at least he shoots a three every now and again. He made 2 threes against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit more threes than Ben Simmons, and Josh Taylor has seen my 3-point
I'll attempt more threes than Ben Simmons, and just by the law of averages, I'll make more.
No, Josh Taylor has been in a gym class with me, seeing me shoot threes. It's not a pretty sight. I shoot 3-pointers like a classic 5. Okay.
Oh my God.
The Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, they've got draft capital, don't they? They do have draft capital.
Yeah, it would have to include a package that D'Lo would have to be the main part.
And will they be willing to part with him? I don't know if they will.
I don't
think
know.
they kind of like him up there right now.
I
Yeah,
will say this.
and when
though,
they got him, that
I was
was a
laughed
boom
at
when they
earlier
got
in the
him.
year. The names of the teams that have been listed as potential partners by official sources. Let's see. I got 1, 2, 3. I named 3 of these teams on here, and I got laughed at. But apparently, according to sources inside the NBA, these teams are inquiring. So first off, suck it, everyone at Vendetta, because I was right on this. I was laughed in my face about, hey, these 3 teams, they needed defense and they need a point guard. Maybe they could.
You know what, Jackson?
No.
Jackson, I'll flex it for you.
Thank you.
See, you got one compliment from Brian Pillman Jr. Here we go.
All right,
see this man's arms all night now.
There you go.
He's gonna come back next segment. He won't have a shirt on. Watch.
That's right. I'll just be wearing a tank top every week. It's just gonna get less and less. All right, next we got the Portland Trailblazers. Again, what are you gonna give up?
Yeah.
What are you giving up?
It'd have to be CJ. Maybe Gary Trent. Or no, wait, they got rid of Gary Trent. It's Norman Powell now.
Now here's where I'll kind of throw this in here, and it's more of an eye of curiosity than anything, because we're starting to hear more people say maybe it's time for the Blazers to move on from Dame. So you're Daryl Morey.
This is assuming
that
they don't
want
to. This is assuming that everything that Dame is saying is true and he's not going anywhere.
Right.
But I'm usually of where there's smoke, there's fire. Even when it includes my own team, like Miami inquiring about Deshaun Watson, they're like, no, Tua's our guy. I was like, there's too much noise for this to be, something that 1 or 2 analysts made up and they're running with to try to get some clicks.
It's almost too crazy to not be a coincidence.
Exactly. And there's been a ton of people, credible people associated with the Blazers that write and cover nothing but Blazers that are talking about the rift between Dame, that organization, how much he doesn't really care for Chauncey Billups as a head coach right now. So,
if you're Dame, are you in the mindset now where you want to start going to a bigger market team? Do you want to get out of?
I think he's done. Oregon? I think he's done everything that he can.
I was going to say the same thing. What else can he do in Portland?
There's literally nothing. It would be stupid of him to stay for a potential rebuild or retooling that would take 3-4 years, maybe more off of his career. Right, no one's gonna fault him. It's like, dude, you tried your hardest.
This isn't LeBron and the decision, right?
Yeah, no, it is extremely rare to do something what Giannis did, what Dirk did. Okay, to stay with one organization for a majority of your career, if not all of your career. Which
it's easier to do it in hockey. It's easier to do it in hockey. It's easier to do it in the NFL than it is in, I think, basketball and baseball are the 2 sports that you are the least likely to see someone come up in an organization and stay in that organization.
But at least
hi, Mike Trout.
I think Dame would get a pass from sane people in the media if he was to, say, if there is a potential trade in place. Ben Simmons goes to Portland, Dame to go play with Embiid, Tobias Harris under Doc Rivers in a place like Philly that still is potentially contending. Then I would say, okay, Dame, go get it. You're not ring chasing per se. It's not like other people that are just team hopping to try to get rings. You tried your hardest.
You've hit your
ceiling. You've hit the wall. It's like this is your next best opportunity to try to get a ring.
This is a situation that really would benefit both sides when you're talking about both Dame and the Trailblazers. Dame gets a chance to maybe hit the reset button on his career in a place that he could finally maybe break through that glass ceiling. Blazers get a chance to hit a reset. We're like, okay, we're not necessarily turning everything over, but we're just kind of shuffling some stuff around to see what we can do this time around with maybe a different group of guys. Yeah. So I'll say yay to that one. That one actually, when you think about it,
I would be on board with that.
That benefits all involved: Philly, Portland, and Dame in particular.
And this is actually the best one so far. But let's go to the next because there's 3 more:
Yeah.
Sacramento, Indiana, and Cleveland.
I'll say yes to Indiana because the Pacers
they're looking to move pieces anyway.
Yeah,
and the Pacers looking to move guys. By the way, very, very sad to hear my guy TJ McConnell's probably out for the season with that hand injury. Pittsburgh kid, man, got to hold him down. But Indiana makes a lot of sense for me. Sacramento, why?
That's NBA Siberia. That's NBA hell.
Right.
Because
that's like going to Jacksonville.
Because like I saw today where there were reports
that's the quantum realm of the NBA.
Yeah, the Kings are still wanting to package Hield and Bagley together and get a decent player, and it's the same day that all these trade rumors start about Westbrook, and I'm like, Lakers really about to send Westbrook to the worst California team. But that would be the perfect trade.
You said Buddy Hield, and I got depressed.
Yeah,
Buddy Hield was the guy I wanted.
Well, they originally had a trade in place for him, and they're like, "Nah, we're gonna go with Westbrook."
Get Buddy Hield, man. Get a guy that can shoot for a change.
Got Buddy.
Don't start me.
Right.
I already talked about how I didn't want to talk about the Lakers.
All right, so I'm looking here now. I'm looking at some of the notes here that Courtney said, and there's some possible trade deals. We're looking at Mavericks and Hawks, Josh Green, and the lottery-protected 2025 first-round pick for Cam Reddish. I don't know. What do we think about that?
Mavs need defense. Mavs need defense, and I think I don't know how much the Hawks would be wanting to part with Cam Reddish. I know Cam is pretty.
I think they like him a lot down
there. They really do. I think it would take a lot more than Josh Green, a guy that barely has seen the floor, and a lottery protected first round pick to pry Cam Reddish up them.
I'm with Jackson on this one. Even though the lottery protected pick sounds really nice, got to sweeten that deal a little bit more to give up a guy like Cam Reddish.
Yeah. Courtney's on board with y'all. Let Cam stay. Cam can stay. So now that Courtney don't call a plumber is on board with Cam staying, that's just the way it's going to be. All right. So
Courtney says it's law. It's over.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So the guy that Keanu Reeves just decimated in John Wick, Bojan Bogdanovic, a top 5 protected 2026 first-round pick.
That's Boban. That's Boban. This is a different guy. This is short.
Oh,
this is short sharpshooter guy from Utah.
Oh,
that's the other Bogdanovic.
How did I get the? Oh, okay, it's the last name.
It's easy to get the Bogdanoviches. It's easy to get them screwed up. But
there's
all right, good.
Although that scene was awesome in John Wick 3.
That really was. Scene. I never thought of a way to kill a person with a book. Now I'm going to practice on the air. All right, so this is Utah and Detroit here. So Bogdanovic, a top 5 2026 first rounder, a 2022 second rounder from Memphis for Jeremy Grant. What do we think about that?
Utah says yes. I don't know if the Pistons do.
That's what I'm thinking. It sounds great for Utah, but doesn't sound great for Detroit.
Like
I'm jumping at this. I'm running to say yes to this.
Like what does Bogdanovic do for the long term for the Pistons? They are fully entrenched from the rebuild. They got a great player in Cade, by the way. He's found his stride and he is playing phenomenal basketball and looks like he could potentially not be a runaway because of Mobley in with the Cavs has been amazing, which I mean he's missed some time, so there's always that argument. But Cade's looking good, but I don't know if they do this, especially because what the Pistons really like to do is give a lot of money to bigs. I don't know why. There was like 2 off seasons ago where they handed out like $80 million. And it was like to one of the Plumlee brothers, Jeremy Grant, and another big that they had gotten.
Was that Drummond that gave them money too?
The Pistons are such a.
But they did give a lot of money to Drummond at one point.
They're such a horribly run team. This is a team that has gone through so many different forms of rebuild. It's just it's ridiculous.
Which leads to my point about the Detroit side of this. For Utah, it makes sense. If you're Detroit, are you going to bring this guy in a trade to possibly move him again? Maybe in the offseason, because I feel like that's something that they would probably do. I don't surprise them holding on to this guy long term. They might move him to somebody that may need him a little bit more and bring some more capital back.
Yeah, or if it's like if this deal was in place and they didn't want to keep him, then try to immediately bring in a third team for a 3-team deal and try to make it more accessible for all parties involved.
That makes a ton more sense to me.
Isn't it hilarious that you see this 3-team deal thing going on in the NBA like mad, but you rarely see this in any other sport?
You see like the 8-team deal that happened in the offseason where it was like it was all centered around Spencer Dinwiddie going to Washington, and it was just a circus act of off-season moves. It was the crazy.
Can you imagine getting that phone call as a GM, but like, hey, look, We need someone to get in on this trade. Wait, what? How does this even involve me?
It was like every GM in the NBA is like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll get it on the trade. I'm just swapping 2 second-round picks. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is such a slow sports news day. Let's do it.
You have the rare like 3-team trade in Major League Baseball. It doesn't happen a lot, but you do have the 1 3-team trade. And you're just like, well, wait, what was the net effect here? Sometimes you really get that, but whatever.
All right, so here's another one we're looking at: potentially Knicks and Pacers. Nerlens Noel, Obi Toppin, a protected 2022 first-round pick from Charlotte, a top 10 protected 2023 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick for Miles Turner.
I love Miles Turner.
Whew.
I love him.
I am a fan. I'm a fan.
I think there may be a little bit more finagling to do.
That is a lot. You are giving up a lot.
That's the Knicks giving up all that?
That's the
Knicks are giving up all that for Miles Turner because because you figure Sabonis. Well, the Pacers are going to try to move either or. From what the reports that I'm seeing, they would much rather keep Sabonis and move Turner because one of these guys, they're a natural 5. They've been alternating between 5 and 4 between the two of them for how long now? And it's not beneficial for either guy.
True.
So I can kind of understand because now what you do is that you move Miles Turner to the Knicks. He can take his spot. Number one, you don't have to worry about trying to get Nerlens Noel minutes because, at least in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter what they go through, if someone is a former top lottery pick, there's still going to be a little bit of pressure to get them some minutes because you're always looking for them. This is going to be it. This is going to be your – because I remember that happened with Greg Oden after his 200th knee surgery. Teams are like giving him minutes because now we're going to get that player. And
you want to try to get your money's worth. If you're a lottery pick, you're probably making a decent bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly,
you want to try to get the value of that contract too out of it.
Right. So you get Miles Turner at the position where he's going to excel. You got him up with you got him in your front court now. You got someone that you can work alongside. And then, you can really start building with. Now, with Obi Toppin going to the Pacers, at least in my mind, you got someone that can probably take over that 4.
Yes.
You've got someone that's going to take over the 4.
You could definitely run him beside Sabonis.
You've got that strong body that you want, that you really want. Yeah. So this is a move that I think I might. This is a move I think I make, right. and then if you're the Pacers, you're getting all this capital back.
Yeah.
To really start building, I make this deal.
I like that. I like the thought of that.
I do too. I think if I'm the Pacers, obviously you always shop, you always see what other deals are out there. But this is a pretty decent deal. Now I'm super high on Miles Turner. In fact, I would love nothing more than for my team to go out and try to grab him. I'm picturing a front court of Jaren Jackson Jr., Miles Turner, topped with the other 3 starters of John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Dylan Brooks. I think that's a pretty sexy lineup right there, defensively and offensively wise. Turner is he's a rare breed in the NBA where he is an excellent, for his position, an excellent 3-point shooter. He plays well on the inside, and he is an excellent rim protector. Leads the league right now with, I think it's like 50 blocks in the NBA in just this short amount of time. He is an excellent rim defender, excellent defender of the interior in general, and I think is worth the demand of 2 first-round picks. I think that's the minimum it's going to take. And again, my Grizzlies already this upcoming season have 3 first-round picks and have a couple more years with multiple first-round picks. I'm to the point where it's like they can sweeten the pot because they got extra draft picks to burn. And that's not even getting into their own picks with protections and pick swaps too. So that's where I think the bidding war comes in, where you get them decent players, because they said they want to do like a soft rebuild where it's like they don't want to fully commit, which is why they're not looking to ship off both Sabonis and Turner.
Right. No, now it's good that you mentioned that. Let's go with these last 2. and then we got to take a break because we're pretty well over.
Yeah.
So we got Warriors and Pacers. So the Warriors are going to give up James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and a top 5 protected 2026 first-round pick for Sabonis. I kind of feel like I kind of like
good young talent though.
That's some good talent, but
like people don't see it because Kuminga and Moody are at the end of the bench for Golden State, but it's
they're not going to get much run.
But it's only because players like Jordan Poole, who was like the worst player in the NBA 2 years ago, is all of a sudden popping off, and in Klay Thompson's absence has been the second best player on this team. Almost.
And not to mention a guy like Moses Moody at Golden State, that's bringing sand to the beach. Golden State with Moses Moody, it's just like another shooter that's not even seeing time. That's a guy that Golden State can afford to give up.
Exactly.
Right.
So this is a move that actually is, as much as we just talked about the previous one with the Knicks, I like this one too, because it's another move that benefits both sides well. And you get a guy like Moses Moody coming in shooting with James Wiseman, who's clearly still trying to, remold his game. But if you look at just what he formerly was, he's still beneficial for just about any team. This is something that makes sense to me. I kind of like this for Indiana.
Yeah, I think the Warriors have good packages in place where they could pursue either Sabonis or Turner. Now, in the Pacers' mind, this may not be enough of a package to get Sabonis, but if you could get Turner with this exact same package,
all of a sudden, a dangerous team just becomes even more dangerous.
Exactly. And if you're the Warriors, why not kind of go in? You got these young pieces, and you got the best record in the NBA. Push for it. Get another title.
That's money burning a hole in your pocket for all intents and purposes. So why not do it?
All right. And this last one, it looks like we got here. This is between we talked pretty extensively about this already. But this is Philly and Portland giving up C.J. McCollum, Nasir Little, and a 2023 first-round pick swap, and a 2024 first-round pick, and a 2025 first-round pick swap for Ben Simmons. That sounds like that's a lot to give up. It sounds like to me. I mean, granted, it's so basically your next 3 seasons worth of picks, you're swapping around. For Ben Simmons. I don't know if that turns the tide for Portland at all. I don't know. You might have to put some cash in there too.
Yeah, honestly, even when I said earlier that this trade, this would probably be the trade that's initially talked about. If I am Dame and I'm sitting and I'm seeing this trade, I'd go into the GM's office and it's put my name in there instead of CJ's, make the deal happen, and then get me out of here,
Because if I'm Portland and I'm getting Ben Simmons back, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need, if I'm Portland, first of all, I'm thinking that I could probably get a better return with Dame. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're bringing Ben Simmons in, a CJ McCollum is a guy you're going to need to try to at least mesh with the Ben Simmons.
Yes.
So
because Ben Simmons doesn't give you a reliable scorer.
Right. So if you keep CJ McCollum and Ben Simmons might make more sense together than say a depleted team with Dame and Ben Simmons.
Because now you've got two guys. Now you've got 2 guys, and Ben Simmons doesn't seem to realize the diminishes in his game. He's going to want the ball. Right. He's not going to want to be a pass first guy. He's going to want the ball.
And honestly, as long as Dame is on that team, you get the ball.
You need to get him the ball.
You get him the ball.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It just the chemistry of it doesn't make sense to me. If you have Dame and
I love the idea of Dame and Philly because Embiid can shoot the 3, but I think because of Ben Simmons, he was pushed out to the 3 more often.
Right.
Now he has a chance.
Now with a Duke that could shoot from the logo.
Now you've got a deadly.
All he has to do is just chill in the paint, just run around, and Dame will dump you the ball whenever you've got mismatches or whenever Doc calls plays for you.
And Dame is no, go ahead.
Sorry. And Embiid could just sit there, like you said, Jackson, put him in the block, back to the basket, and he can just do what he wants. And more importantly, how often is Philly in a position where they make opponents pick their poison? You either want to get bludgeoned to death inside by Embiid, or Dame's coming down with fire from above. Good luck either way.
Right. And the great part about Dame, And the great part about Dame as a player is that he is all about he'll dish the ball when he needs to. He's not going to force. So that would be the best thing for Philly, I think.
If a Dame trade was to happen, I think that might be the scariest thing to happen to the league, because with how down Dame is looking and how bad of a situation Portland is right now, do you know what going from a bad situation to a good situation does to just like an average player or a pretty good player? Now imagine an all-star.
You're going to have Philadelphia welcoming this guy with open arms. That is going to be like Kal-El getting that ray of the sun after deflecting a nuke. It's just going to be bad.
Here you go. We'll take just a little bit of an older reference. You know what that becomes for Philly? It becomes black and white at the beginning of The Wizard of Oz when they're still in Kansas, and then the tornado happens, and the house lands in Oz, and you wake up in Technicolor.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what it is for Dame.
Yeah.
He is going from Kansas to Munchkin Land. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Munchkin Land is that terrible of a thing, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you. All right, we're going to take a break. We're way over time. We're going to talk a little bit about this potential Russell Westbrook trade. We're going to get a little bit more in-depth in that because, guys, there needs to be a change. Something needs to be done. Just do it. You know what? Michael Jordan said it. Michael Jordan's kick said it best. Just do it.
Do it.
We'll be back. We'll be back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, exclusively on twitch.tv, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media, proud part of the Vendetta Sports Media podcasting network. We're joined by Josh Taylor. We'll be back.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage.
All right, we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media, proud part of Vendetta Sports Media podcasting network. Go to vendettasportsmedia.com for all of our content, all of our blogs, all of our news stories, all of our podcasts. We're joined here by Josh Taylor. We've been talking NBA. This is the longest I've talked to NBA in a long time, and I miss it. I miss it. Well, Jackson loves it because this is the most that I've heard Jackson speak in a year. So
I love this because I don't get to do this at work. I don't get to do it at work
because
on the TV
Pittsburgh.
side.
Well, it's hard being an NBA fan in Pittsburgh, and that's probably part of the reason why I'm a lapsed NBA fan, because we're not committed to the NBA here in Pittsburgh. We had a CBA team that was pretty decent.
Here's the problem, because that's the sentiment that people want you to believe around the city, and the people that are telling you that are lying to you. There are NBA fans in Pittsburgh. They are here. There's so much basketball history and so much basketball lineage in the city. It drives me crazy that people keep saying Pittsburgh's not a basketball town. And I'm like, you are a liar and the truth is not in you, because there is so much basketball roots here.
So then what brainwashes us? What brainwashes us away from the NBA?
It's the man. It's the elites. Because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you like basketball.
Because there's a hockey team here that happens to have one of the best players in the game. And those fans are louder than everyone else. And it's just like, oh, this isn't a basketball city. I'm like, no, this was a basketball city before the hockey team got here. And I love to bring this up when people say, oh, well, people don't watch the NBA. The NBA Finals ratings versus the Stanley Cup final ratings say otherwise.
Right.
People watch the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
There
I
are
do
basketball fans here.
I would
It's
also
the problem
tend to
is
watch-
they get tamped down. I'll bring up NBA basketball for one segment on my radio show. We don't want to hear that. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of people behind you that say otherwise.
I would just love to know what the ratings are going to be tonight, because Steph's only 2 3-pointers away. First game on TNT in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. Can you get any bigger of a stage for Steph to break the record on?
Dude,
Reggie
you're in
Miller's
Madison Square
Reggie Miller's
Garden.
calling the game. Ray Allen's going to be present at the game. Like, the NBA is making a huge deal of it. Would love to know what the ratings for TNT are tonight.
Dude, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca.
Let's be honest. If you're going to do something, big in basketball, especially if you're not a Knick, the best place to do it is Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
It's not like the Knicks do huge things in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I was about to say, it seems like everyone but a New York Knick makes history in Madison Square Garden.
I tell people all the time, they're like, "Oh, Madison Square Garden." I'm like, "When's the last time a New York-based team had a meaningful game in Madison Square Garden?"
It's been a long time.
Was it Syracuse and Georgetown in that like crazy conference tournament game? Was that it? Big East tournament way back in the day? Is that it?
The one thing I'll say as well, when it comes to, I think that Madison Square Garden, when it comes to sports, if you participate in a sport activity, and I say sport activity for this reason, professional wrestling has a lot of deep-seated roots in Madison Square Garden. And if you're not the World Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Entertainment, you are not going to be a big name promotion in Madison Square Garden, because Vince McMahon will not let you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is that important. But a lot of big things have happened sports related in Madison Square Garden. That's the place to do it.
Yeah, I'll give you one, and you'll love this reference. Who used to pack MSG all the time decades ago? Our fellow Shinley Spartan, rest in peace to the champ Bruno Sammartino.
That's right.
Rest in peace to Bruno. That man used to pack MSG.
Absolutely.
The regular. So yeah,
dude,
there is history behind WWE and MSG.
Bruno Sammartino had MSG packed and pumped for his son David at WrestleMania 1 that nobody cared about. The only reason why David even had a job in the WWF was because of Bruno. And they only gave him a job for Bruno so Bruno would not be pissed at Vince. That's it. That just lets you know how important Madison Square Garden is to sports. So
rest in peace, Bruno, fellow Spartan. Rest in peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, like an idiot, I accidentally closed my notes. So, but we were going to talk about the Russell Westbrook trade. Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, let's do
Now,
this.
here's the thing. Russell Westbrook, to me, correct me if I read him wrong, but I don't think I do. He sees himself as this indispensable the guy.
Yes.
He sees himself as the best person on the floor, and there's no way anybody trades me unless I say I want to go. But my dude, you're on a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Sorry, my friend. You are dispensable. And if this team isn't gelling, this is a you fault. And you're going to be the first one with his bags packed out the door, because I guarantee you a LeBron James that's getting long in the tooth is still more popular, more of a draw, and a better overall player than you.
It's not every day where I find myself agreeing with Charles Barkley. I don't know if you saw the Charles Barkley rant when he was talking about Anthony Davis and how they need more from him and all the old geezers he said they have on that roster. And I'm like, man, Chuck is actually right about this. I did not believe it at the time. I didn't see why it made sense at the time. And I don't see why it makes sense now to have Russell Westbrook on this team. He just does not fit. It was a name, and
because they could. It was because of his name. And
it's the same reason. It's the same reason why dogs lick themselves. So I guess that makes sense from that particular perspective, because they do it because they can. But I mean, we had this discussion. One of the few times my barber and I have actually talked about the Lakers. We talked about what was that conversation like with Braun and Westbrook, where he's like, all right, now look, you got to come in and you're going to come in and fall in line with what we're doing here, because this is Braun's show and AD and everything. And Westbrook's like, okay. And then he gets to LA and he's like, I'm dropping 50. Like, he just comes in, he's doing everything.
I mean,
that's how it felt to me. It probably felt like, okay, he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do what it takes, just to get to LA. I'll do what you say. Then he gets there, is like, no, I'm gonna wear this, half dress looking thing that I got from this stylist in Milan and go try to drop 40 and screw the whole thing up.
Now, answer me this, Josh, because I always have to find a way to circle it back to the NFL. Is this along the lines of what happened with one Melvin Aloysius Ingram III?
No.
Completely different situation?
Melvin Ingram's completely different. Melvin Ingram came in here expecting that he was going to get reps over like a second or third year player in Alex Highsmith. And the Steelers were like, no, we really like Alex Highsmith. I guess he thought he was going to get start reps. So when Highsmith and TJ Watt got hurt at the same time and Melvin Ingram is getting reps, then Highsmith got healthy and they're like, yeah, we're going to start Highsmith again. And I don't think Melvin Ingram like that. So I don't think it's the same situation.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So moving to, and Jackson, you alluded to this earlier. The next 2 Chicago Bulls games have been postponed due to a COVID outbreak. Whoo!
Yep.
Here's the list of names: Elise Johnson, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Troy Brown Jr., Kobe White, Javonte Green, Matt Thomas, Derek Jones Jr., Ayo Dosunmu, and Stanley Johnson. Is anyone healthy on this team now other than the towel boy, the ball boy, and the guy that puts the cheese on the nachos?
Hey, Chicago, I'm available, man. I'm available. I'll sign a 10-day. I'll sign a
Chicago. Josh Taylor's knees can stand up to it.
Bryan will shoot the big man 3 a couple times.
Absolutely. There you go.
Play some bully ball down low.
Absolutely.
You read off all those names. I only needed to hear 3. LaVine, DeRozan, and White. I'm like, okay, yeah, shut it down.
Yeah, just shut it down. Shut it down. What did Negan say? Shut this shit down. Yep.
Yeah, Vucevic was being really funny on Twitter, and he was adding the teams, asking if they wanted to play 3v3 in the the winner of the 3v3 to 21 match would just take the game. That's it.
Hey, I'm a Vooch guy, man. Vooch, he killed it for me. And
you know what I would be on? You know what I would be on board for? A game of 33 with the guys that are still healthy. Let's get a game of 33.
Old school, take it back to Ozanam up on the top court. Old school game.
That's right. Let's do it. That's right.
Hill District style. Let's go.
You know what's up with 33, Jackson?
What?
You know what's up with 33? You ever play 33?
I've played 21. Is it similar?
It's similar.
It's similar.
Okay.
There's a few
33s.
tweaks to it. But
There's a couple of tweaks to it.
That's HI double right there. We can take it back.
That's right. HI double trouble.
We can take it back. Let's go.
That's right. I you know what? I've been so mad that every time I go to play a basketball game, I'm like, man, they need to make a 33 game mode. I would be on board with that. But they don't know. They just don't know.
They're not ready for that.
You know what? I miss my calling. I should have gotten a job at 2K as a game developer and just 33. What's that? It will be the greatest mode in the history of 2K games. Right there.
There would be so many online arguments with dudes playing 33 games. Oh my God.
It would get, because you would get the most chill dude in the world playing 33 and he would turn into a monster.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Hill District Cats, Jackson Law. Hill District Cats took 33 and Tonk very seriously.
Oh yeah.
You didn't mess with the card game and you didn't mess with the basketball game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You could start to talk about a dude's mom, but you do not get involved with, you don't mess with Tonk or basketball.
I tell people all the time, if you grew up in the Hill, there was probably a few things you did well. You probably played basketball well, you played cards, or you talk trash. For me, it was 2 out of 3. I could play some cards, I could talk some trash. Basketball ain't my thing, but at least not on the court. But I can get 2 out of 3 ain't bad in my case.
2 out of 3, no, it's not. So real quick, let's take a look at the standings of the NBA before we shift gears into the NFL. For the Eastern Conference, our top 6 of the East, the Nets standing up top at 19-8, Bulls at 17-10, the Bucks 18-11, the Cavs 17-12, the Heat 16-12, and the Sixers at 15-13. And then, of course, rounding it out at the bottom, you got the Wizards at 15-13 and the Hornets at 15-14. You know what? I'm pretty happy with what the Hornets have been doing at this point because, you know, they're still up there. They're not doing terrible.
They're a young team that's led by a second-year guy. So
yeah, but I'm the Sixers now. If the Sixers are going to make a move, now is the time.
Yes.
Completely.
You're going to make any kind of headway in the next few weeks.
I think tomorrow actually is the day where everyone that signed in the offseason can now be traded. So I think after tomorrow, we will start to see it may start small. It'd be one or two small guys here or there, but after tomorrow is when
before Christmas is when it's going to really happen.
Teams have already been talking about this for days now.
Yeah.
It's the small pieces here and there that they can't trade just yet because of this December 15th deadline. But I believe December 15th is the date where teams can start trading players they traded for in the offseason or players that they signed.
Right. And if you're the Sixers, you especially want to do something because looky here. Can you hopscotch the Heat and the Cavs? Probably. It's the Bucks, the Bulls, and the Nets that you got to be careful because once the Bulls get healthy, Zach LaVine finally has what he's needed all along. He's needed a real supporting cast. And the fact that now DeMar DeRozan has gotten a second lease on his basketball life, the Bulls aren't going to let go. The Bulls haven't felt this confident since Derrick Rose was the MVP.
And you still got a Bucks roster
that is the same that won the title.
Yep. Yeah, they brought just about everybody back. Brooklyn, even when you don't have Kyrie,
without Kyrie,
you still play. So if you're the Sixers, and we're talking about the scenario of maybe leapfrogging the Heat and the Cavs, if you end up in that top four, knowing you got to deal with at least one of those 3 or 4 teams remaining, you hear the music, you better be ready to dance. So in the Sixers case, it behooves you to do something.
Absolutely. All right, let's go over to the Western Conference where it's just sick right now. At 1, Golden State 22-5, Phoenix 21-5. You're not hearing a lot from Phoenix. They always fly under the radar the last couple of years, and that
the Suns works right now, man.
The Suns are amazing.
They are
Devin Booker,
insane.
Devin Booker, you want to talk about a guy who has grown? Oh man,
yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh,
hey,
he's
shout out to Cam Johnson. Shout out to Pittsburgh boy Cam Johnson on Phoenix too. I'll say this much: there are 2 fun teams to watch right now. One in the NFL and one in the NBA, and they're both in Arizona. The Cardinals are fun too. Both of those teams are fun to watch.
And we're going to talk about the Cardinals in a bit. But yeah, now you got Utah rolling out, filing out that top 3 at 19-7, and then you got Jackson's Grizz in 4th at 17-11. The Clips at 16-12, and the Lakers at 15-13. This is the first time I've ever seen the Clippers that I've actually been looking for it being above the Lakers in the standings. Because I remember as a kid, the Clippers were the biggest joke in sports.
Did we say I don't want to talk about this? Did we say I didn't want to?
I'm saying
Josh,
is
to rub salt into the wound too.
Damn, I was about to just let it go, but here comes Jackson.
Clippers are also missing a player. I know he's been not heard from in a while, but a guy named Kawhi Leonard.
Man, you had to go there.
Kawhi. All right, so rounding out the top 8, you got the Mavericks at 14-13 and the Nuggets at 14-13. What's crazy?
The Nuggets intrigue me, for the record. The Nuggets are interesting.
I'm afraid to say anything bad about the Nuggets because they're big and his brother are going to be coming after me if I do. So
true. I feel about the Nuggets now the same way I felt about Utah like 2 years ago. You get 1 or 2 more guys in there that can kind of balance things out, and you might have something going on in Denver. I'm not done watching them yet. They're intriguing.
Yeah. And they're here right now in this position purely on the back of Jokic.
Right. Right. Get him
Michael Porter. Michael Porter Jr. had been dealing with injuries all season long. He's finally done for the year. Jamal Murray potentially could be done close to playoff time. If they are in the playoffs, could be activated for the playoffs. I got a close friend that's a really big Nuggets fan, and his plugs and everything are talking about how, Murray may be coming back, could be reactivated by the playoffs. And that's, again, assuming Denver makes it into the playoffs. And if they do, it's solely on the back of Jokic. I think Jokic right now has the biggest swing in plus minus for his team. It's like offensive in defensive rating. It's some insane number. Like the plus is so high and the negative is so low on when Jokic is on and off the court. It's insane. I think
sorry, I was gonna say he was the MVP in every sense of the word. Like I had people asking this question. They're like, "Did Jokic really deserve the MVP?" I'm like, "Yes,
yes."
Utah does nothing close to what they do without him. Nothing.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people were talking about Embiid last year, and a lot of people were talking about, it's just the perfect attendance award because Jokic got it. Well, guess what, people? That's part of it.
That's part of the game. That's part of how it goes.
Why else was Utah the number 1 seed?
Right.
That's why. Because he was there every day doing what it took to put that team in position in what they were.
Exactly.
I don't know. A guy who was good and consistent? Why is that so surprising? I don't know. How is that bad?
You mean being good is a criteria?
It's just like, I hear people when it comes to MLB Hall of Fame voting, and they're like, "Oh, this guy played for like 20 years." I'm like, "Yeah, but he was good for 20 years."
Right.
It's no harder than this to be good for 20 years.
Especially in those your first 2 years and your last 2 years are the most difficult times of your career.
There are people who used to tell me, "Oh, Craig Biggio, he just played for long." I'm like, the dude played like 5 different positions. He's a Gold Glover at like 3 of them and played at that level for almost 2 decades. That's the guy you put in.
Yes,
he was good for that long.
Oh, you mean you're not? You mean you're not the guy that gets a vote for the MLB Hall of Fame and turns in an empty ballot every year? And the one time you voted recently was for Derek Jeter to get in, and that's been it.
That makes no sense to me. Put the guys that have been good for consistent periods of time and played at a level that no one else has played at for that long. Give them what they're due. Jokic got what he was due. Now, I'm one of those people that complains that there was a time period where the NBA MVP vote was always a year late. Where like the guy that got it probably should have got it the year before. I was one of the people that always made that case. They got it right last year. So credit where it's due.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys a choice. Do you want to take a break now and then use the rest of our time for the NFL? Because one of the main things and one thing that we've been doing here, Josh, is we've been using Max Murphy storylines and takeaways for week to week for the NFL. So do we want to take a break now and then finish out with NFL, or do we want to go into NFL for a few minutes and then take a break?
I vote break now, NFL.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. We're going to take our break now, and then we're just going to go extensive on the NFL. We're going to laugh a little. We're going to cry a little. We're probably going to cuss somebody out. This is a Tanndemonium Sports Show broadcasting live from our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Network. Go to vendettasportsmedia.com to get all of our content. Follow us on Twitter @media_vendetta. Follow the Tanndemonium Sports Show @TanndemoniumVSM. We'll be right back for our final segment. All NFL.
Steph Curry is already tied. He's tied. He's 1 away now.
Wow. By the time we get back, Steph Curry will be the number 1 in 3-point shot. All hail Steph Curry. We'll be back.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags. Or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
And we're back for our final segment here of the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live here on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Holy crap, I just realized, Josh, this is the last time we're going to be talking to you on this show for this year. We're not going to be talking to you again until 2022.
Yeah, I can't believe we're here already. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it because I feel like the college football season flew past us.
It really did.
And the NFL season is at the slowest crawl ever. I can't put it in words.
I think for me, the reason why that is because Pitt and the Steelers have flip-flopped.
Yes.
Pitt is good, and when Saturday rolls around, you're expecting Pitt to win. When the Steelers show up on Sunday or Thursday, whoever had the idea of playing for NFL on Thursday is an idiot. When the Steelers show up, it's like, how bad is this going to look?
Speaking of the NFL, just got this notification from Adam Schefter. NFL has now had 75 player positives for COVID in the past 2 days.
You know what this is? This is cats getting caught slipping.
And now Giannis has entered health and safety protocol. Guys!
Giannis!
Oh, no.
Oh.
Man. See, this is the problem. And matter of fact, my one of my because I have so many different hats. An individual who I do some working for even said it because he had to enter into the protocol. And he was like, just when you let your guard down, that's when it kicks you in the face. And that's what's happening, man. Wishing these folks, health, please, do your best to make, some better decisions. Don't take this stuff home to your families. COVID ain't over. Just because we're getting back to a monicum of real life don't mean that you can't be careful. Yeah, shouldn't have went with the back-to-back.
It's a good point.
Courtney's Courtney's always coming with the fire. Courtney always coming with the fire.
It's really, really hard to justify right now with everything that's happening, trying to make things even more complicated for teams, because now, to Courtney's point, if you're a team like the Bulls in the position that you're in, and you got back-to-back schedule, what do you do now? Now you got getting one game moved around to get that figured out is already like throwing you headlong into the matrix. Now you might have to do two.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that now
make me read Chinese like sight unseen. It'd be easier. You know what I mean?
Right, because now you got to figure out, is the United Center gonna if those are home games, you got to figure out the scheduling for the United Center. Do you have concerts set up? What do you have? You got to figure all this stuff out.
Or do you have to swap venues? In which case, a team now loses a home game that becomes a road game, and it's an extra benefit for the other team.
Not to mention the fact, and then you even look at the people the vendors. You look at the people. Look at the concession people. You look at the workers. Now they're getting screwed out of a night's work. So what are you going to do?
Restaurants and bars in the area, all that stuff. That all gets affected. All of it does.
You are tanking an economy.
I remember, and Josh, you may have remembered this, but I remember when the University of Arkansas was talking about eliminating the Little Rock games that they play once a year. And Little Rock was throwing a fit. But the reason why Little Rock was throwing a fit was the same reason Fayetteville was throwing a fit. It was because it was millions of dollars in revenue lost, which either way it went. I'm happy they've stuck with the Little Rock game because the Little Rock game is much closer to me than Fayetteville is.
Now, on the football side of it, I understood the university's concern because that was more centered around War Memorial Stadium, pretty much just being a relic, and they just weren't trying to put more into it.
It's a terrible stadium.
That was more of the
a dozen
concern.
times. It's a terrible stadium.
On the basketball side, I sided with the folks in Little Rock. I'm like, you need that game because Hawk fans are going to come out. You know this as well as I do, Jackson. Anything going down, they could have that game in Dardanelle. Hog fans will show up. They can have that game in Hot Springs. They can have that game, in freaking Fort Smith, and people will show up. So basketball, it didn't surprise me as much. But to your point, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, so shout out to our own Max Murphy here at Vendetta Sports Media. We always make use of his NFL week biggest storylines and takeaways. So shout out to Maxwell House. Let's get into it, gentlemen. The Rams, possibly one of their biggest wins of the season. Huge Monday night win, a win they definitely needed.
Steph did it.
Steph has done it.
There you go.
Steph has done it.
Congratulations to Steph Curry.
There he is.
You're the man,
I
Steph
had
Curry.
I'd take it off, but there you go.
You know what? I took my hair off a long time ago.
My respect to him.
No, Steph's earned it, man. I mean,
he really has.
This is a Davidson Wildcat that just went and did this, man. That's huge. Good for him.
Absolutely.
Much respect.
I mean, say what you will about Steph, what he does in the clutch and everything, and then but he's changed the game of basketball forever.
Steph is definitely beastly on a whole different level. And the one thing about Steph too, though, is that he's a great human being.
Absolutely.
He's an amazing human being as well. So shout out to Steph Curry.
Yeah, they
couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yeah, he's hugging Steve Kerr. They've given him the basketball that he shot it with. I'm sure that ball is going to be worth untold millions of dollars if it ever got into the hands of a regular person.
If you're Steph Curry's wife and you guys get divorced, don't you make sure to take the ball?
Yeah. So
and now if I'm Steph, I'm taking that ball to my lawyer.
This is a great moment too. Del Curry was there. He just gave the ball to his dad and embraced his dad for a while.
Oh, well, then that ball is safe as hell.
And let's put that out there. His pops was no slouch as a 3-point shooter.
No, he was not.
Let it go.
If it weren't for Michael Jordan, Del Curry would have a couple of championships because those Charlotte Hornets teams were amazing.
Del Curry could let it go from deep. Man. That's a good shooting family over there.
Dude, that Charlotte Hornets team of the 90s was so good.
Yeah.
And if it only took the Knicks and the Bulls. If the Knicks and the Bulls weren't there, at least if the Bulls weren't there, we're talking about the Knicks Hornets rivalry like crazy.
I miss that Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues, Grandmama, Del Curry. I miss those squads, man. That team made a lot of people Charlotte Hornet fans. Plus, let's not lie about it. The color scheme in the uniforms made people fans too.
Oh man, that color scheme is on point.
Like that was the deal in the 90s. A lot of people are Hornet fans just because of the teal and purple too. But that team made it easier.
The fact that you got people in the Hill District wearing anything but red and black,
right?
That says something,
right? I mean, I got away with wearing Penguins jackets because it was black and gold. But man, you ain't lying. You ain't lying.
All right, so the Rams, they needed this win. Yeah. November was not good for them, so they really needed this win. And Max Murphy says it best: Cooper Kupp is a star. End. Right there. Say whatever you want to say about Odell Beckham Jr. Cooper Kupp if Cooper Kupp's not on this offense, I mean, Matt Stafford gets things done, but he's nowhere near at the level that he's doing it now.
And to your point, I mean, you don't bring in an Odell Beckham to do what Cooper Kupp does. No, you bring in an Odell Beckham to either A, make Cooper Kupp's job easier, or B, Cooper Kupp makes Odell Beckham's job easier.
Which
putting these guys to complement each other.
Perfect timing on that signing, by the way, with Robert Woods going down for the rest of the season. He went from a luxury to a necessity overnight.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Isn't it crazy how that happens?
Yeah, but great win for the Rams. They've been needing a big win all season long. They've beat up on crappier teams. They've lost some tough ones to some good teams. They finally get one over a good team. So hopefully, because again, they were my pick to get to the Super Bowl and to win the Super Bowl. So that Bills one's kind of looking really iffy right now. So I'm probably not good on that one. And I mean, even the Rams one's kind of looking iffy because good Lord, do the Packers look scary.
And you're right, Jackson. You're talking about the Rams needing to win, and they found the perfect week to snag one because they took one against, in my opinion, if there's two teams I'm looking at 1 through 53, the best rosters in the game, I'm looking at Tampa, and I'm probably looking at Arizona. Exactly. And you can make a case to me for Green Bay, but Arizona's roster 1 to 53, I love it, man. I love what they're doing over there.
Yeah, and shout out especially to Erie's own James Conner, University of Pittsburgh's James Conner.
Indeed.
Leads the league in touchdowns. There's no way he's doing any of this in Pittsburgh. And I heard this said this morning, I believe, I got to give credit. I believe Mike Pursuta said it this morning.
Mikey P.
There's no way he has been in Western Pennsylvania all of his football life. He needed a change of scenery. He may not be blowing up the stat sheets with yardage, but he's getting it done when it needs to be done. So shout out to James Conner as well. Continues to be a feel-good story.
Yeah, he's filling the role that they needed him to fill. He didn't go to Arizona to be the guy, but they said, look, we'll get you some touches. We'll get you in the red zone. You have a way to make an impact. And he's fully embraced it. He's on a 1-year contract. It's not like he signed 6 years to be in the same role. He's coming on a 1-year deal. He's betting on himself, trying to make it into something else in the long term. And I think you're right. I don't think he would have been in the same situation in Pittsburgh to do this because he's not in an offense in Arizona that even resembles what he would dealt with in Pittsburgh or what Pittsburgh looks like now. Arizona's offense, I said this last night. I got a call about this because I filled in for Bob Pompiani last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I got a question about James Conner, and I said, if you want to look at what the Steelers should do, go do what Arizona's doing. Go get a quarterback that can throw the ball, that can move around in the pocket. Even if he's not going to run the ball a lot, at least gives you the threat of running the ball. Put an offensive line around him. Get him weapons like they have. Get him weapons like a DeAndre Hopkins. Go get a tight end like a Zach Ertz and give that team weapons to work with like a Rondale Moore. That offense lacks nothing as far as impact guys. Correct. And then you got a defense with a legion of freaks on it. A whole bunch of just physical freaks on monsters. That defense. And all they do is just say, this is your job, this is your job, this is your job. And they let them all off the league.
You don't see guys going into the wrong gaps on that defense. You don't see lackadaisical tackling on that defense.
You want to see a team that's built to win in the current NFL? Go look at what Arizona's doing. If you want to talk about James Conner not being with the Steelers and him being in Arizona, you know why it's working in Arizona? Because Arizona's doing what the Steelers should have done. That's why it's working.
He's running behind a quality offensive line, and because he's not having to be the guy, he's not taking anywhere near as many hits.
And he's in a much better picture health-wise. Much better.
Right. Not to mention the fact that, James Conner's always hurt. Yeah, because James Conner's having to try to carry this offense on his shoulders, getting smashed every 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he's always hurt.
It's a guy that beat cancer, man. I mean, the fact that he's even playing in the NFL is a freaking miracle. And if you followed his journey, like the treatments he was going through, this dude was literally still working out with his teammates while going through cancer treatment. Like, they don't make him like that anymore. They don't make him
not even
like
close.
That.
Dude, James, you could pick up James Conner, put him in the 70s, and he still fits.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just that much of a hard worker.
In terms of physical prowess and mental toughness, absolutely. He's built from a different era.
He really is. Well, that's why they built him here in Western Pennsylvania.
You ain't lying.
In some instances.
You ain't lying.
So the Chiefs decided enough is enough and decided the Raiders needed to get spanked. They needed to be reminded who the big daddy was in the AFC West. And surprise, surprise, and I don't mean that being facetious, their defense is getting it done.
Yeah, I'll amend your statement a little bit about deciding about the Raiders. I think the Chiefs decided that they needed to go back and be the guys that were whooping people.
Yeah.
Because that defense has completely changed its tune.
You're
talking about defense that used to be a sieve as far as giving up points. They have done so well in that past 6 games. They're now 6th in the league in points allowed.
Yep.
Because in the past 5 weeks, 7 points allowed against Green Bay, 14 against Vegas, 9 against the Cowboys, 9 against the Broncos, 9 against the Raiders. And before then, they had only given up less than 15 once. And they did all that in 5 weeks with a bye week in between. And they are now the 6th best scoring defense in the league. That's what happens when you start getting on a roll and figure things out.
9 turnovers forced in the last 3 games. This defense has gone from worst to among the best in such a short amount of time, and the rest of the league better look out. If they're putting it together and they can sustain this Jackson Law,
it's scary.
They might be back in the Super Bowl for a 3rd straight year.
And their offense is scoring again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this Chiefs team is – what's scary is they're waking up at the right time. It's late December.
This is the time.
You wake up in December, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Exactly.
Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Tampa Bay gets one over 33-27 in overtime. Tom Aloysius Brady III is 33-3 against the Buffalo Bills. Now, Josh Allen, he almost brought them back. He came close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So now the Bucks have the number 2 seed. Green Bay has the first round bye.
Josh Allen reminded people just how good he was, and then Tom Brady reminded him, no.
I'm still your
still
daddy.
my yard.
I'm,
This is still my yard.
I may be out of the AFC East, but I still
I'm
own
still
you.
your daddy.
I still
Tom
own you.
Brady has 700 career touchdown passes.
And he's only behind one cat. No, wait, he's the cat.
He's the cat.
He is the cat.
He is the cat.
100 career touchdown passes. Would we have ever imagined any player in the NFL ever throwing 700 touchdown passes?
Dude, 20 plus years ago, when Drew Bledsoe goes down, I was one of the people that said that Patriots season was over. Who's Tom Brady? That's Tom Brady. I mean, so my only question is this. If Willie Beeman were a real dude, would he be doing the same thing? Because they were asking, who's Willie Beeman?
You want to talk about who the real life Willie Beeman is? He's probably playing in Arizona.
I think so.
Actually, there may be a variant of him playing in Baltimore.
That's possible. Only difference that I would say is that Willie Beeman, when he actually got his head in the game, was pretty accurate of a thrower.
See, here's. I hate when people try to dump this on Lamar because this is not.
Well, I'm not just dumping on. Well,
Lamar puts some decent throws in. The problem
he does. He has. I think the problem with Lamar as a passer is that his work ethic is pushing him to try to do too much at one time.
You say work ethic. I say offensive scheme because. And I got to remind people of this all the time. The year Lamar Jackson won the Heisman, you know what coach he was playing for at Louisville? Bobby Petrino. You know, it's one of the most really intrinsic, complicated offenses for a quarterback to understand in college football. Bobby Petrino. And he made it work at Louisville. And they also added stuff in there with the read option and to give him a chance to use his feet as well. And they made that offense that much better. I really think people don't understand what he's been asked to do in Baltimore up against what he was asked to do in college. I'd make the case that the offense he ran in college was probably the best indicator of what he was capable of doing in the NFL. And they haven't lived up to it. And I understand the premise as to why, because you can emphasize him as a runner and it's better for your game plan. I get that. And this is nothing against Greg Roman because we saw Greg Roman put a really good offense together around Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco, and that team got to a Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody else who likes to make it political likes to tell you, that offense in San Francisco worked.
Absolutely.
But I will say this much. The Steelers game really gave you a really good indication of what Lamar Jackson is as far as reading and making progressions. Because if you get in his face and screw up his internal clock, he no longer becomes a guy that goes through progressions and can make plays. If you force him to move around, if you force him to use his mobility against him, it ruins his effectiveness as a passer. But when he is actually stationary in the pocket, has time to throw, he can go through it and make it happen. I think his greatest strength also becomes a weakness for him, if you want to get really philosophical about it. But I think the way Baltimore has tailored that offense around what he's really good at, instead of really letting him just open the full arsenal, I think that counts against him more often than not. And the Steelers game, I thought really exploited that. TJ Watt was all in his kitchen all day long. And it really messed up what rhythm he should have had in that game, including on the final play.
TJ Watt's the guy. He's you want to talk about someone who's earned to be $100 million man is TJ Watt, Trent Jordan.
Pay that man.
Really
yeah,
exactly.
Some people are saying they should have paid him more. I'm like, oh, now you think you should have paid him more.
Right. Before y'all were like, they should have paid him more.
The whole time I'm like, pay that man. Pay that man. Pay
absolutely.
That man. He's on a Reggie White pace right now. Pay that man.
Yeah, agreed.
What are you talking about?
Agreed.
Then again, I know why some people don't get it, because some of the people that are arguing the most about you shouldn't pay TJ Watt, they didn't see Reggie White play. That's why they don't get it.
Right.
Some of the older folks are like, Reggie White was a bad man. If he's producing on that level, you pay that man. That's why people don't get it. Because I'm about to get on my soapbox real quick. Because
they miss it, because they don't know their history. That's why. They don't know their history.
There's a generation of fans in this city that have no idea what they're talking about. They're like, oh, the 80s were the dark ages. That team got the conference championship twice in the 80s. What are you talking about? Don't speak on stuff you weren't around for. Like,
right.
It bothers me. And then they're sitting there, you sit there and talk like, oh, well, he doesn't do this and he doesn't make a lot of splash plays. What are we talking about? Prime players show up when you need them to do things. TJ Watt, his best performances this season, Buffalo, Seattle, Baltimore, games when they needed somebody to step up and make a defensive play that changed the game. That guy was the one that did it.
Right. And I'll take you one step further. Those same people that can't appreciate TJ Watt also are unable to appreciate Cam Hayward.
They call Cam Hayward overrated. I'm like, are you insane?
Anyone who says Cam Hayward is overrated don't know anything about football. Take it as a defensive lineman, okay? There are very few people in the league that can do what Cam Hayward does. They moved him from his end position to put him at nose tackle. That is a difficult transition to make. Your movements are completely different. And what did he do from the defensive tackle position? He dominated still.
I don't think people really realize having to put Cam Hayward at nose tackle against Cincinnati was the weirdest thing because they were that strapped for bodies.
Just that depleted.
But the same people that say, oh, Cam Hayward's overrated will sit there and love Aaron Donald. And I'm like, maybe football's not your thing.
Yeah, maybe you should, I don't know. Have you considered maybe becoming, I don't know, anything else? Have you maybe thought about rooting for the Pirates again?
NBCSN shows Premier League. Go watch that because this ain't your thing. This is not your thing.
But see, these are also the same people, though, that if they start watching professional wrestling, they're going to whine about, well, why is Roman Reigns always involved in things? It's like, go away. Just stop.
See, we don't want to put Jackson to sleep. I'll say this much.
Moving on. So Micah Parsons. So now this is what Murph had to say.
Let's go.
NFL should take away offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie year, and just give rookie of the year to Micah Parsons. 12 sacks. 12 sacks already on the year with 4 more games to go. Javon Curse, your rookie record is broke, my dude.
Done.
It's over.
Micah Parsons could win defensive rookie of the year and defensive player of the year in the same season. That's how good he's been.
He's been very good, yes.
You want to talk about people that say one thing and then say another thing? There are folks that say, oh, Micah Parsons has been really good. And then they'll say, oh, well, Penn State stuck in 2020. Yeah, because Micah Parsons didn't play. He opted out. So did Pat Freiermuth. And then Journey Brown retired. That's why they didn't win anything, because the 3 best players didn't play, and Micah Parsons was number 1 with a bullet. Hello.
Yeah.
That's what they lost last year. That's what they did not have. That's what they probably needed this year, losing to freaking Illinois at home. But that's beside the point. Don't start.
Listen,
I want the smoke for the bowl game. Let's go.
All I'm going to say is this. All I'm going to say is this. Offenses, look at the bane of your existence for the next decade and a half. We haven't seen a player of this magnitude since a guy that we already talked about a few minutes ago, Reggie White. We have not seen anyone with that kind of dominance since Lawrence Taylor, since Bruce Smith. This guy's a beast.
You know what Micah Parsons is?
Unfair.
Micah Parsons is unfair. But Micah Parsons is what Dallas fans wanted Sean Lee to be.
Yeah.
And Sean Lee never filled that potential because injuries of everything else. And I loved Sean Lee as a player. I thought Sean Lee was a fantastic athlete. But I think Micah Parsons is what Cowboys fans were always waiting for Sean Lee to become. But you got Micah Parsons. He's here now, and he ain't going nowhere. So have fun with it, Dallas fans. You got to stud on your hands for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going
to
suggest Micah Parsons start picking up BDP yoga to maintain his body for the entire duration of his career.
He's going to be so good. So good.
But barring any matter of fact, who was that behemoth that played D-line for Baylor?
Oh God, that guy.
Oh, I remember him.
That's
what's his name?
Yeah, Micah Parsons is who folks were
like an XXL jersey was like barely covered his pads, and
there was nothing but muscle upon muscle upon muscle on his body.
Looked like an anime character.
Yeah, like. That's Micah Parsons is who folks
Sean
thought
Oakman.
He was going to. Yes.
Sean Oakman.
Folks, that's who folks, Micah Parsons is who folks thought Sean Oakman was going to be. Hell, I remember folks were saying that Jadeveon Clowney was going to be the greatest defensive player to ever exist.
That hit he laid out against Baltimore, though. I tweeted about it. I was like, I haven't seen him wreck a man like that since the bowl game against Michigan. Woo, Lord.
Lord help me. Somebody better call his mama. All right, so our So our final stories of the night, and these are going to come together: the Urban Meyer disaster. Now, Shad Khan has said that they're not going to rush to any decisions on Urban Meyer's future because, well, I mean, you look at some of the coaches that they've had in this dumpster fire.
I think the rush they're not rushing on who to hire after him.
Exactly,
I think is the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But honestly, I mean, this Urban Meyer thing has just been an explosion of what the F.
Here's another example of why I tell people in every fan base, pay attention to what is happening around the league. Don't just look at what your team is doing. Pay attention to what's happening around the league because it will give you a greater perception of what your team is doing. I keep hearing people in this city talking about get rid of Mike Tomlin. You got to fire him. The team doesn't listen to him. He's lost the locker room. Right, because that's why they came back against LA. That's why they came back against this last game against Minnesota, because he lost the locker room. You don't have efforts like that if you've lost the locker room. You know who's lost the locker room? Urban Meyer has lost the locker room.
I don't even think he's
Even Dan Campbell in Detroit, Mr. Kneecap Biter himself, has not lost that locker room. We can joke all we want about Detroit.
Yeah,
they have been in so many one-possession games, and give Dan Campbell credit. He has not lost that locker room.
Yeah,
Urban Meyer has lost the locker room.
And do you see how the players in Detroit reacted when they finally won a game?
Yes, that was
you would have thought they won the Super Bowl.
You would have thought.
That's a team that continues to fight, and I think that's a lot of that has to do with Dan Campbell.
Coaching.
And we can make fun of him all we want, all the kneecap biting references we want to. That team looks like they would go to war for that man, and that's a testament to what he's doing there. And we can say what we want to about the Steelers and the games that they've lost. But the fact that they keep coming back and fighting through games says a lot about what they would do for Mike Tomlin. And Urban Meyer is the exact opposite. He has lost that room. You can tell.
I don't think he's ever had it. I don't think he's ever had it.
I hate when people say, like, oh, well, they lost. They're not listening to the coach. You can give your best effort and lose, people. It's life.
Right.
It is life. You can do everything right and lose. Lack of effort and lack of result are not the same thing.
I seriously have to give a lot of credit. I have to give a lot of credit to the following men in Pittsburgh sports broadcasting: Paul Zeiss, Charlie Batch, and Stan Savern, just to name three. To take some of the phone calls that they take of Yinzers.
I take some of them with Paul.
And you as well, Josh. You as well. These folks that show up, that just come out, they need to fire Tomlin because no one in the locker room listened to him. It's like,
that's a lie if I've ever heard.
That is a lie.
An absolute lie.
And y'all are the same people as y'all sit there and fillet Chuck Noll's memory. But y'all crucified him. Oh, and as much as y'all fillet Bill Kerr, bring Kerr back. Y'all
you didn't
turned
want
on
him.
You didn't want him when we had him.
You didn't want him when you had him. I hate that stuff.
I hate it. That's why I stopped listening to Pittsburgh sports talk radio.
I don't even take it personally. As long as it's not Sunday mornings, I don't care.
I still listen on Sunday morning. I listen on Sunday morning.
I had to explain this to somebody. And they're like, oh, well, this wouldn't have happened under Chuck. No, I'm like, do you remember what happened after 1979?
Yeah.
Well, I was like, you know how many playoff games Chuck Noll won after 1979? 3. 3, maybe 4. That's it. And that was what? A 12-year span? Here's the thing. Like, oh, well, in the 70s, yeah, that's what happens when you bring in 10 Hall of Famers in 5 years. That's how it goes. Which, by the way, will probably never happen again. What are
the last time something like that happened, somehow Jerry Jones made it a point to sell his soul to the devil to get Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, and everyone else.
Well, the Great Trade Robbery was a thing. So there's
that's true.
But it's just
it's asinine.
I have a really I think we got a glitch with Bryan.
I think we did, yeah.
I have a hard time listening to people who don't do their homework, who don't pay attention around the league. Oh, there he is.
Yep.
I was going to say, it's just I have a hard time listening to people and people who don't do their homework, they don't pay attention around the league, they don't see what's going on in other places, and they're trying to act like what they're seeing is something that's like unique. It's not. What you're seeing is not unique. And they're like, oh, well, the Steelers, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know how bad this whole division is? You know how bad
this division is terrible. This division is absolutely horrible.
I never know what to make.
To quote MJF, the AFC North is very mid. It is mid right now.
I never know what to make of them. At one point, every team looks like a Super Bowl contender. The next week, it looks like they should be picking 1 through 4.
It's weird because to kind of bring this back around the pit, I used to make the joke for like the last 4 years that the ACC Coastal Division was the worst Quentin Tarantino movie ever made because you didn't know how anybody got there, and the guy that was left standing, you have no idea how he's still alive at the end of the movie. I made that joke about the ACC Coastal for years. That's the AFC North right now. The AFC North is like the last 3 scenes of freaking Reservoir Dogs. That's the AFC North. Who's Mr. Pink? No one knows. No one knows who Mr. Pink is.
Right. Not to mention the fact
who's gonna be Kaiser Sose and walk straight at the end. We don't know.
Right.
This is usual.
Not to mention the fact, and this is the last point I'll make before we go to our. We'll finish off by doing our picks for this coming NFL weekend. I'll close it out by this as well. All these people that sit there and they run their mouths, blah blah blah. Hey, look at what's happening out in San Francisco. Look at what's happening with the New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. All right, get over yourselves.
In fairness, San Francisco's turned it around.
They're getting there, but I mean, if what happened with San Francisco would have happened here, people would be going even crazier right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those two teams aren't far apart. I mean, you're talking about a tie being the difference between the records right now.
Right.
All right.
All right. So let's get through this upcoming week. This is, what is it, week 15? 14. Week 14.
15. Yeah, we're
15. 15. All right. Yeah, I was right the first time. Quit second guessing yourself, Big Cheese. You're a grand champion for a reason. All right. So let's go through them. And let's try to keep it quick. Thursday night game, Chiefs, Chargers. I'm going to go with the Chiefs on this one. I feel like this is going to be the test. This division game is going to be the test. One game separates these two in that division. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are playing with renewed vigor.
I hate Thursday night games for road teams. Hate them. I was not shocked when the Steelers lost to Minnesota. Oh, they look flat. They look tired. Yeah, they had like one day of practice and they had to get on a plane. That's why. It sucks. Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than he's getting credit for. And if there's a guy that you need to win a shootout against Patrick Mahomes when you got the advantage of being home on a Thursday night, it's Justin Herbert. I like the Chargers in this one.
Okay.
I gotta agree with Josh. I like the Chargers on this one. I think, like you said, it being a Thursday night game, road game for the Chiefs. Chiefs are playing hot. I think it's gonna be a fun game. It's definitely gonna be the better Thursday night football game we've had in a while now.
Yes.
But I got Chargers in a close one.
Possibly as good as Green Bay and Arizona, if not better.
Possibly.
All right, let's go to Saturday. Saturday, 4:30 p.m. game. The Raiders, the Browns. I don't know what's happening there in Cleveland. You want to the Browns are the Browns. Juju said it best. The Browns are the Browns. They're I don't see how a team can go from being the best team on paper and just implode the way they do.
Injuries.
I think it's a big part of it is definitely the injuries. It just seems like that whole franchise is snake bit. They just can't get out of their own way.
I think I saw Jarvis Landry is out for COVID protocol this Sunday too.
Yeah. So the Raiders go to the mistake behind the lake and kick it in the face.
The Raiders win this one, and I felt this way. We're talking about the AFC North being screwed up. All four of these teams have really difficult schedules the rest of the way, and each team has to play 2 division games. They're going to get up for the division games, and the out of division games are going to be terrible for them. So, yeah, Vegas, not even blinking.
Vegas, yep.
All right, and then the 8:15 game, New England traveling to Indy.
I love this game.
This is going to be a great game.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good game. I don't even know who to pick in this one. I think I might, as much as I might have to go with Mac Jones is making me a believer in him. I might have to go with Mac Daddy Jones.
This isn't going to be a game. This has the potential to be an all-out fight. This is going to be so physical.
It's going to be great.
2 really good running games, 2 good defenses. Indianapolis' defense does not get enough credit as it should. New England's defense has been lights out. This could be a seriously slugfest. I might have to go Indy because who has an answer for Jonathan Taylor right now? I haven't seen
That's a
one.
good point.
Jonathan Taylor, he could be the MVP. If not for Tom Brady, Jonathan Taylor might be the MVP in the league. I'll go Indy. If nothing else, Indy at least covers. I'll say that much.
I agree. I'm going to pick Indy on this one. Although, as a Miami fan, I should be rooting for Indy to lose because of the playoff indications here. Miami plays the Jets, so a win there and a loss for a couple other teams. We're right in the mix, baby. We're in the bubble.
I'm holding on belief for you, Jackson. You'll get that. I'm holding on belief for you.
Hey, the turnaround.
I love Brian Flores, by the way.
The turnaround from 1-7 to potential playoff team and a potential winning season.
Brian Flores, a guy who has not lost his locker room.
He has.
That's another one.
It looked like he might have. There were reports but the players kept coming out and saying that no, we're fine, we're getting better.
Now if they can keep two, and
then they've ripped off 5 in a row, 4 of which 2 has been the starter and has been the number 1 quarterback in most of those 4 weeks.
I mean,
efficiency wise, but for this game, I got Colts. I think my hatred for the Patriots or just the rivalry for the Patriots outmatches the need for the Colts to lose. Listen, there's 2 wild card spots there. There's room for the Colts and us to live in harmony.
I feel you.
Together.
I feel you.
So
all right. Going to Sunday. Can you believe that we are a week from Christmas? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, this is nuts. This is crazy.
This is insane. All right. Dallas, New York. We know Dallas is going to win this one. Why you give it
Cowboys,
time?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cowboys.
Without blinking.
The irrelevant bowl. Texans, Jaguars.
Who's starting the quarterback for Houston?
Overall pick?
I don't know. I really don't know. This is the battle. I mean, I don't know. I haven't even been paying attention to the. I forgot Houston still had a football team. If I'm being honest,
you could listen. You could flip a coin right now. Get a quarter out. Heads. Houston.
No, you were right the first
tails,
time. That was some Yinzer out of you, Jackson. I'm proud of
you. Heads Jacksonville, tails Texans. Whatever it lands on, that's my pick on this one. Man.
See, I wish my dog. I wish my dog were here. I wish my dog were here. I'd ask her who was going to win.
Yeah, you do the thing where you put like 2 treats in like a bowl that say the name of the team. Whichever one they run up to and grab, that's the team you pick.
This is one of her little treats here. One of her little things. My thing would be this. If she keeps it in her mouth, the Texans. If she drops it on the floor, the Jaguars. I don't care one way or the other. It's just going to happen.
Here's my criteria. These 2 teams played in week 1 and Houston won at home. Jacksonville's the home team this time around, so I would go with Jacksonville.
Fair enough.
That's how I'm going to do it. I have no other way to figure this out. None.
I'm going to say Houston just because Urban Meyer has lost this entire roster.
Well, here's my counter to that. You have a one team whose coach has lost the locker room and another team whose owner has lost the organization. So,
that's a good point. I can't choose. Somebody has to win.
Home team by default, Jacksonville.
Fair enough. I'd be okay with a 0-0 tie. All right, Sunday afternoon, I'll be live tweeting this one. The Titans come into the friendly confines of Heinz Field to play the Steelers. Titans have been riddled with injuries. Somehow they've been able to keep it going. The Steelers' defense, with the exception of Trent Jordan and Cameron, have been Swiss cheese. They have been run over like mad. The Steelers should be grateful that Chris Henry is not in this game, but I still see the Titans running on this team. I'm going to give it to the Titans. I don't see the Steelers. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see key players on this Steelers team doing what needs to be done. I mean, you look at what happened this past Thursday with the mental errors from Chase Claypool and him having to be benched. When you look at whether it's lack of effort, lack of physicality, or just lack of being there between the ears with Devin Bush, Joe Schobert not getting the job done. I see Tennessee continuing on their roll.
I'm trying to make sense of this team, and I never can. You got an offense that can't score in the first half and a defense that can't stop anybody in the second half. And then after halftime, the switch flips on and everybody shows up to play. It's almost like this team has to be embarrassed to be activated. It's really weird. I would say that coming off the embarrassment against Cincinnati, they rallied and beat Baltimore. Probably part of that was because they was facing Baltimore at home. After being embarrassed against Minnesota, but even making a comeback in the second half, I feel like they'll be activated enough to win the game at home against Tennessee that they should win. So I will go with the Steelers. It's another situation where at the very least I expect them to cover. But I think the Steelers can win this game.
All right. J-Law?
I don't know, because it's like the brain says one team, but a heart says the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where to fall on this one. Like on paper, the Steelers defense should perform better, should be a better defense than what the Titans have. Titans, of course, missing Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry was in this game, then I think
it'd be over.
It's
Steelers.
Henry is rushing.
It's Titans in a walk. Yeah,
Derrick Henry is rushing for 300 yards.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He's looking the way Fournette did against them 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
He was still in Jacksonville. That's what it is.
I mean, it's like already this season, it's like I've picked a couple Titans game because I'm like, I think Tannehill it's not a great quarterback, but he's still better than who they're facing. But then Tannehill doesn't really show up. And even if they win, it's more of a defensive effort than from Tannehill.
This is going to be uglier than when they faced Baltimore 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think home game, Heinz Field, cold Northeastern game. I'm going to give the slight edge to Pittsburgh on this one.
Wow, you guys have doubled up on me the last few picks. I like it. It's kind of fun. I like
great minds think alike,
Yeah,
that's
fair
what
enough.
it is.
All right,
It's the Arkansas connection at work right now.
It is that good vibes going into the Outback Bowl. Let's go.
All right, let's finish up these. Let's finish up the last of these. Jets, Miami. I think we're all in the consensus that the Miami Dolphins continue their streak.
Let's make it 6, baby.
Here's another one. Washington, Philadelphia. I don't know.
Normally, I'd say Philly.
Yeah, but Washington, the nameless guys, they're playing hard.
Ron Rivera gets teams to play for him.
It's that 85 Bears connection.
Possibly.
I'm gonna pick Washington just because they're I don't know why I'm blanking on their quarterback's name. Jackson marks out for him every week.
Tyler
Heineke, man.
Tyler Heineke
Taylor Heineke's a baller, man.
So I'm gonna give it to Washington just on Heineke alone.
Good old Heineken.
That's right. I bet you that's my father-in-law's favorite player.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where I think quarterback play comes in heavily, and I think determines the outcome of this game. I think I still am not a huge believer in Jalen Hurts.
Fair.
I need to see more from him. So, and not only that, but the Eagles have been terrible at home this year. So I'm going to roll.
Another good one.
I'm going to roll with Washington.
I'll complete the sweep. I'll say the football team also.
Yep. I hope they have an actual name next year. I
hope they have a better owner next year.
That'd be great.
One miracle at a time, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Arizona, Detroit. I've got the Cardinals coming back on this one. Yeah, I feel like they get it back. Not without effort. Detroit's going to fight them.
They will. They will.
But Arizona's going to bring this one out, and I think they clinch that. I think they clinch that first playoff spot.
Yeah,
agreed.
Also, talking about records, Cardinals are undefeated on the road
at home.
Yeah.
How?
How?
I don't know, and they're playing on the road again, and they're fixing to be 8-0.
And
They
they're playing
find
in
a way
a
to
dome.
do it. They
They're
find a
playing
way.
in a
And
dome.
they're in a dome, so
Exactly.
they ain't got to worry about nothing. No, they're good.
Exactly.
Not a thing. It's on.
All right. The floundering Panthers go up against the floundering Bills. I think the Bills get it together and they whoop on Carolina.
Buffalo showed so much fight in that second half against Tampa.
Agreed.
Josh Allen was like, the rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. He gave the Bucks all he could give. I'll say Buffalo bounces back with this one. They're still a pretty good team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Buffalo bounces back. Maybe they can use this game as a springboard late December, early January, try to get things right. And, you never know what will happen with the Patriots. Maybe the Patriots keep winning. Maybe they win the division. Maybe the Bills have to fight for a playoff spot or a wild card spot. But maybe this will help them springboard come playoff time.
Yep. All right, Cincinnati, 4:00 game. Cincinnati goes into Mile High. I'm gonna give this to the Bengals. To be honest, I think that the Bengals are one of those teams where when they finally get it together, they are going to be deadly. Joe Burrow is going to be the best quarterback in the AFC. He already is, in my opinion. Probably he should be looked at as the best quarterback in the AFC North. He's going to be the best quarterback in the AFC North for at least the next 5 to 10 years. And I see him showing it this Sunday against Denver.
Well, here's something weird.
Yeah, I love
the Broncos have faced 3 other AFC North teams.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. And lost to all 3 of them, which I think is really, really odd. However, Denver is a team that does not make a lot of mistakes. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They're kind of sound defensively. They're not going to be a team that buries themselves often. Cincinnati, on the other hand, is a team that buries themselves often. And Denver's at home. Cincinnati's making that trip to Mile High. It's hard for home teams there. Denver in a close one. Give me the Broncos.
Yep. Denver, man, I feel like Denver's just like a quarterback away.
Yeah.
From being competitive. In fact, if you were to ask me specifically, I think they might be a Russell Wilson away from competing, but hey, but I got to go with the Bengals on this one. It's just they're so similar in a lot of ways. I like the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow connection. Running.
I hate that Jamar Chase is in Cincinnati. I hate that he's there because it's tough for the Steelers, but I love Jamar Chase.
Yeah. And Joe Mixon has had an incredible 5-week run. However, it's been, maybe they keep feeding him. Maybe he continues to stay hot, but I think it'll also be a close one, but I think the slight edge goes in favor of the Bengals in this one.
Cool. All right.
0-4 gets the AFC North for Denver. Yikes.
Yeesh. Atlanta, San Francisco. Oh man, Atlanta is just, every time I look and I'm expecting to hear that Atlanta is just imploding. They're sticking with Pitts is, I expected a little bit more out of him, but you do what you can with the team that you're on, obviously. San Francisco, they're starting to turn it around though. I'm going to give the nod to San Francisco. I think this game is actually going to be a little bit more entertaining than it looks like when you first see it on first glance.
I'm going San Francisco. They won 4 out of 5. The loss was on the road to Seattle by a touchdown in the game that probably wasn't as close as the score dictated, but they showed a lot of fight on the road against Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati came back down 2 touchdowns and tied the game. They beat the Rams by 3 touchdowns. This is a team that still has something left in the tank. I'll go with the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 49ers also. The line is pretty heavy. It's San Francisco -9. I don't know if I would pick them with the money line. I'd probably go Falcons money line on that one. But another interesting stat: Falcons have won 6 games this year. 5 of those have come on the road. So they're another road warrior team. So this could be a pretty interesting matchup.
So at the very least, Falcons cover.
Yeah. We're going to be in agreement that LA is going to beat the Seahawks.
Yes.
This needs to be Russell Wilson's last season in Seattle. He needs to.
It needs to be his or Pete Carroll's, but they cannot stay together. One of them's going to have to go.
This is gonna be a good game. This looks like it could be very, very interesting. Green Bay going to visit the Baltimore Ravens. I'm definitely gonna go with the Packers, but this is why I find this to be very, very interesting. When you listen to some of the talking heads, your bestie Pony, he's still pushing for an Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. Now they put a Twitter poll up. I didn't get a chance to vote on it. Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Kenny Pickett under center next year?
Next year, I'd say Aaron Rodgers because he could overcome a bad offensive line. Long term, I'd say Kenny Pickett.
So would I.
Maybe you get both. Maybe you draft Kenny Pickett and you got Aaron Rodgers to finish out his career.
Jackson, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
But I definitely say the Packers are going to go and they're going to continue their winning ways. Honestly,
Ravens are hurting, man.
They are really hurting right now.
And the last team you want to see walking into your stadium when you have injuries and problems at corner of all positions and your depth is tested, you do not want to face A.A. Ron.
What is the Aaron Rodgers over-under for yards and touchdowns this game? Because I need to get me a bookie to put down some money.
I say Aaron Rodgers goes over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I'd say at least 350 with 3 or 4. Because there's a man walking the planet named Devontae Adams, and as long as he has a say, it's going to be a long day.
A.A. Ron!
You done messed up A.A. Ron.
That's right.
All I'm saying.
All right, and then our 8:20 game. Doesn't look like we have all right. So our 8:20 game. I'm looking at it. I'm all right. Yeah, I know what I did. So Monday, our 8 o'clock game, last game of the week. Where the hell? There we are. New Orleans, Tampa. Now, for one, I'm definitely going with the Bucs on this, and I have to definitely give a shout out to the question that was asked. When you look at Tom Brady's combine numbers and then you see that he has thrown for 700 touchdowns, wow. The Bucs don't only just win this game, but they handily win this game. And I already said it, but I said it when we were doing our earlier predictions for the Super Bowl. It's going to be Tampa Bay, and it's going to be the Packers in the NFC Championship.
Rematch.
And that is going to be a very fun game to watch.
It'll be a rematch, and it'll probably be in Tampa, which will be interesting. If this game is being played in New Orleans, it would be the only reason why I would pick the Saints, because for some odd reason, Tampa does not beat New Orleans in the Dome. But they're playing in Tampa, so give me the Bucs.
Yep. Saints, another team that I think should be at the top of the list for the Russell Wilson sweepstakes, if ever. I think pairing Sean Payton with Kamara, Thomas, and a couple other receivers in that defense would be
fun offense.
Hot. And not only that, Wilson, Brady twice a year minimum. Minimum.
God,
could get
it 3
offense.
times. Could get it 3 times in 1 year.
Jackson, you're teasing me, and it's rude, but that's fun. That's fun.
But I didn't get to say this earlier. I'm going to say this right now. Screw Chris Sims. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if you saw.
I've never been that big of a fan of Chris Sims, but what do you do now?
Oh,
I'm less of a fan of his dad, honestly.
Well, he was talking about, he was basically crapping on Tua. He's one of the biggest Tua haters out there, and still is.
Meanwhile, Chris.
He was comparing him to Taysom Hill and said that Taysom Hill was better than Tua.
Dude, Chris Sims only had
a career. And he's like, all you Tua lovers on Twitter, you guys need to shut up. You're idiots. You're all idiots. Go watch and learn something else. You're a bunch of idiots. Just shut up. Stop talking about this. And it's like, Chris Sims, what football have you been watching over the past 5 weeks?
Chris Sims only had a career because of his father's name. Okay, that's number one. And Chris Sims has never been relevant. So who is he?
His dad was also a lot of people. Sims, if you want to be honest about it.
Listen,
there you go.
You never want to piss off a fan base, an entire fan base in the modern era, because a lot of people were showing his career averages for when he was a quarterback, and a video.
Oh, that's what he did.
And a video of when he was in Tampa, he was told to play, and then immediately turns to the huddle and could not relay the play properly. And they tried it like 2 or 3 times, and he just could not get the play relayed to the team. It was practice, but
you know who Chris Sims is to me now. Bruce Pritchard tells the still of anytime the big cat Ernie Ladd was anywhere near King Kong Bundy, he would rib him to death. Bundy! Every time you go out there, you're stealing money. You're always stealing people's money. That's Chris Sims right there. Chris Sims, every dime he got playing in the NFL, I swear that man should be a felon because he was garbage. Who is he to impugn anybody's quarterback play?
I'll say the last thing I'll say on Chris Sims is this. Jackson, where did Chris Sims play college football?
At his mama's house.
No idea.
It was Texas, wasn't it?
Ha!
Did Chris Sims play at Texas?
Did he? Okay. No, you can't do that. That's a fine.
Let's move
penalty.
It won't be a fine in the SEC.
There
It
you
is
go.
in the Big Ten, but it won't be in the SEC because they won't care.
And then our Monday
Texas got a good SEC welcome this season.
and our Monday night game this week, Minnesota, Chicago. Minnesota coming off the heels of almost choking yet another game, and Chicago.
They're Chicago.
They're Chicago. It's just like Delaware. Delaware. This is another game that, like, I guess they figured this is a division rivalry. This is great for Monday Night Football. No,
What is the NFC North without the Packers right now?
the AFC North.
No, they're worse.
Yeah, they're like
You know what the NFC North is without the Packers? They're the AFC South.
about to say.
Oh, okay.
Specifically the one, what was it like when Andrew Luck was out an entire year and it was like a team won the division with like 6 wins?
Oh God.
I can't remember who won the division that year, but
It might have been Tennessee, actually.
I think it was, yeah.
It might have
Who
been
wants to be
Tennessee.
who wants to be known for that? Oh well.
Oof. Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So listen, guys, we went over, but hey, we had a lot of stuff to go on about, and it wasn't all Steelers talk. So everyone that
So it was a normal appearance for me, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
Poor Courtney, she
When-
puts up with me
I
once
know.
a month.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Courtney was like, they're both not here yet earlier, and I was like, oh, that's right, it's a Josh Taylor night, and I was like, all right, time to get settled in.
you better get a sandwich ready.
Love it though.
Bring
I
a
love
lunch,
it, though.
man.
I
Get
love
some
it,
extra
though.
water.
I love it,
Courtney,
That's right.
Courtney's the best in the game for a reason. She puts
She
up
is.
with us.
She is.
Absolutely,
Courtney.
absolutely. If you want to follow the Tanndemonium Sports Show on Twitter, just follow us at Tanndemonium VSM. I live tweet the Steeler games whenever they play. Sometimes it's begrudgingly. Every so often, you're going to see an exchange between Josh Taylor and myself.
Every
And I
once
mean,
in a
hey,
while.
every so often, and that's usually that in itself is worth the price of admission. If you want to follow Josh at Josh Taylor HD. Or if you want to hear his Sunday morning radio show, download the Odyssey app, look up 93.7 The Fan here in Pittsburgh. Check him out. Cheer him up on Twitter.
I will not be out Sunday morning this week. Sunday morning, I should say this upcoming Sunday, I'm actually doing Steelers post game.
Really?
After the Titans game, I'm doing post game this upcoming Sunday. So after the Titans game, call
Is it
me
you
and
and
tell me
Charlie?
about how much you hate it. What's that?
Is it you and Charlie? Is it you and Charlie Batch?
No, that's on that. They're on Steelers Nation Radio. I'm doing it.
Yeah, they're on
the Fan.
Steelers Nation, right? Oh, so you're doing
yeah,
it for the fan.
I'll be
Gotcha.
on the Fan.
All
But
right,
after
and you
the
know
Titans
what?
game, call me and tell me
I
everything
will-
you hate it.
I am actually going to not listen to Charlie Batch and Stan Severn. I'm going to check out Josh Taylor on the Odyssey app this Sunday.
Oh, don't do that to Charlie. Charlie's my man. I mean, I appreciate you.
I love
listening to me, but
Charlie. I
Charlie's
love
my
Charlie.
guy. I love Charlie.
Yeah, but see,
Love working
I
with
didn't go.
him.
Yeah, but I didn't sit next to Charlie in English class, so I think Charlie can have one Sunday without Bryan Tann.
Or in first period health with Coach Trent,
There you go.
where we used
There
to
you
exchange
go.
wrestling tapes.
Yep, that's right. So I think Charlie can do without me for one Sunday.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
So make sure you guys download the Odyssey app. Go look up the 93.7 The Fan here in Pittsburgh to check out Josh on the Steelers post game. Make sure you follow Jackson Law at JLaw1995. Follow Courtney Plummer. Courtney, make sure you put your Twitter up there as well so folks know where they can find the best producer in the biz. And of course, it will not be right if I do not say, make sure you follow Vendetta Sports Media on all social media. It's either Vendetta Sports Media or, in the case of Twitter, at media_vendetta. That's it. This is the last time you guys are going to see Josh Taylor until 2022. These last few months have been amazing. And the one thing that I love the most about having Josh Taylor on this show is that Josh can talk any sport.
We'll have to talk that game, regardless of outcome.
Yes.
When we have you back, I'm trying to convince my folks to be like, let's just say screw it and let's go to Tampa.
Yes.
I'm trying. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but
I'm working TV the day of that game. So for the first time, Jackson, in 8 years, I will be able to actually read Razorback highlights because they're playing against Penn State. Bring the smoke. Let's go. Let's go.
Right.
Love it.
So that being said, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your week as you prepare for Christmas or whatever you celebrate. And we'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned later on tonight. The fantasy show is going to be going live. Hopefully we ain't cut into their time slot. With that being said, that's Josh Taylor. That's Jackson Law. I'm Bryan Tann. She's Courtney. Don't call the plumber. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We'll see you next week.